Blackfriars. A very good afternoon to you all. Well, that was so much better. I think I'll come out there. So as we leave Tower Pier, by law, we are obliged to give everybody a quick safety announcement. Now, it's nothing to be alarmed by. It's just to let you know the boat's name, which is the Millenium. And the boat you are travelling on this afternoon is safe. We have the most up-to-date life-saving appliances here on board, such as life rings, life rafts and life jackets. They're situated around the vessel in the international green and cream safety stickers. We are in constant communication with all river traffic out here on the Thames, the emergency services and the Port of London Authority, so you're in safe hands. We also have a fully licensed bar downstairs, and just next to the bar we have the toilets. If we have any smokers on board, you can smoke upstairs on the back deck. Now, with a show of hands, who understood what I just said? Now, with a show of hands, who cares what I just said? There's always less. So we have a couple of options for you lovely people this afternoon. We have a machine up here in the bridge. It's a company provided machine, and it points out a few of the buildings here in London, along with some company promotions. Now, I can press play, that's not a problem at all. But if you guys would prefer, I can stay on the mic and share some of my local knowledge that I've gained over the years of working out here on the Thames in the form of a live commentary. It's completely up to you folks. So I can see all of the passengers downstairs on my cameras, and I can see all of the brave passengers upstairs on the top deck. Now, with a show of hands, who would like me to press play? Always one. Now, with a show of hands, who would like me to stay on the mic? That's not a problem at all. Now, I do have to stress, we are not professional tour guides. We are simply your crew. So if we get anything wrong, feel free to keep it to yourself. I'm only joking. We'll do our very best. So the captain's going to turn the boat to port, and there's going to be a fantastic photo opportunity of Tower Bridge on the right hand side. Tower Bridge is the gateway into London. It's 127 years old. It's a part bascule, part suspension bridge. The bascules are the centre part of Tower Bridge. The bascules will only ever fully raise when a member of the royal family is going underneath. It's an iron-built bridge, but it has stone cladding, and it shares its neo-Gothic style image with the Tower of London on the left-hand side. Tower Bridge is closed for one day of the year only. Can anybody tell me what day that is? Not Christmas. Not New Year. It's not the Queen's birthday, sir. It's not my birthday. It's the day of the London Marathon. Every single year, 40,000 heroes run across this bridge to raise millions of pounds for good causes. They say if you can get a picture of a double-decker bus in the middle of Tower Bridge, well, that's two iconic sights of London. That will cost you £5 on a postcard. Now, if the bus is stuck in traffic, well, that's free. Iconic sights of London. On average, this bridge opens around 800 times a year. If you are wondering when is this bridge going to open, you can simply go on your phones and type in Tower Bridge lifting times. It will provide you with a schedule throughout the whole year. Oh, there's a bus coming, folks. Remember, two iconic sights of London. a big bus. Oh, there's two buses. That will cost you £10 on a postcard. There we are. Now once you've taken your photos of Tower Bridge, if you look to the right hand side, there is another fantastic photo opportunity of the Tower of London. The Tower of London is nearly 1,000 years old. It was founded by William the Conqueror, and it's absolutely steeped in English history. It's been a prison, it's been a palace, it's been a place of execution, it's been an observatory, it's been a royal mint, and it's even been a royal zoo. But it's now home to the crown jewels. Now many years ago, if you was found guilty up at Westminster, you would have been rowed down here to the Tower via Thames water, but without a live commentary. And you would have gone through the tunnel where it says entry to the Traitor's Gate. And you would have had your head removed, dipped in tar and placed on a spike above London Bridge. And that would be to warn all other traitors. But we now have far bigger punishments here in the UK. We have something called community service. We often get asked on this boat, where is the bloody tower? Well, if you look to the right, it's behind the bloody trees. You can't see it. But it's well worth a visit, folks, if you're in town for a few days. It's one of the big attractions here. But on the left-hand side, the circle building. That looks like a fracture. This is called City Hall. This was the mayor of London Square. Now, does anybody know who the current mayor of London is? Yes, sir. Mr. Statistic Park. That's his office there, on the left-hand side. Now, staying on the left, you may or may not see it, because it's camouflage. It's the HMS Belfast. The HMS Belfast was launched in Belfast on St Patrick's Day in 1938 in the Harlem and Wolff shipyard. That was the same shipyard that built the Titanic. It was one of the first British ships to fire its guns in anger on D-Day, and it last saw action in the Korean campaign. But it's now permanently moored here at London Bridge. It's a floating museum. You can go on board, pay a small fee, and go on all 9 decks. It's a great day out for the children here in London. Now, what's interesting about the Belfast is the front of the ship. You are now looking at the only Union Jack flag here in London. Now, to be called a Union Jack, it must be on the front of a British warship, and it must be on a wooden jackstaff. So all of the other flags you've seen today, or we'll see throughout the day, they are called Union flags. Staying on the left, you cannot miss it. It's Western Europe's tallest building. It's the Shard, or better known as the Shard of Glass. It stands at over 1,000 feet tall, and it's home to the 5-star Shangri-La Hotel. Now you can go up the Shard, ladies and gents. On the 72nd floor, they have a viewing platform. It's around £25, and on a clear sunny day, you can see up to 50 miles in every given direction. Now the architect of that building was an Italian man by the name of Renzo Piano. But if you're in London on a budget, look over to the right-hand side. A building that looks like a walkie-talkie. That's called 20 Fenchurch Street. At the very top of that building, as you can see, they have a viewing platform of their own. It's called the Sky Garden. Now, a lot of our passengers don't know this, but it's completely free of charge. You need to London Bridge. People all around the world to see London Bridge. And guess what, folks? Well, this is what you get. They mistake this bridge for Tower Bridge. But London Bridge is the famous bridge. It's where the history lies. The first London Bridge was built by the Romans over 2,000 years ago, and it was made out of wood. The last London Bridge was taken down piece by piece and sold to an American businessman. It now stands in Arizona. On the left-hand side, in between the two buildings, behind the trees, you're only going to see it for a couple of seconds. But there is a fantastic photo opportunity of Southwark Cathedral. This is where John Harvard was baptized, the founder of Harvard University. And with a show of hands, do we have any Pirates of the Caribbean fans on board? Because if we do, you may want to get a picture of this pirate ship on the left-hand side, because it's got absolutely nothing to do with the films. It's Sir Francis Drake's replica of the Golden Hind. Sir Francis Drake was the first Englishman to circumnavigate the globe, and the replica over in the dock there has done it twice. Now the next bridge is not a very interesting one. It's called Cannon Street Railway Bridge. But what is interesting, ladies and gents, underneath you're going to see some glass windows and a green door on the right hand side. This is a 5-star health spa. Now when they built this spa, they forgot about passenger boats. So you may or may not see some semi-naked people. Now some days are better than others. Some days you wish you never looked. And some days are so good. Me and Captain Sid, we go round in circles. Now a lot of people ask us out here on the boats, what happens to London's rubbish? On the right hand side, you can see some old barges with some great containers. This is called Walbrook Wharf. Now 90% of London's rubbish leaves this site by barge. And we send it to a place called Essex. Now they do get their own bag. They send it back to us via television. Has anybody seen the TV programme Towing? Well, if you have, I am very sorry, but that's how they get their own bag. We're now going under Southwark Bridge. Now on the left hand side, you can see a circle white building with a timber frame and a thatched roof. This is the replica of Shakespeare's Globe. Now it's one of the only thatched roofs that you will see here in London, because after the Great Fire of London, all thatched roofs are now banned. Now you can see a play over here, ladies and gents, on certain days, in its periodic fashion, for as low as £5. Now that's not bad value for money here in London, considering a pint of beer is around £6 plus. Many years ago, there used to be an office on that site, and people used to put money into boxes, and they took it to the office. We believe in London, it's where the term box office originates from. Now the next bridge is called Millenium Footbridge, also known as the Blade of Light. But you may know this bridge as the Wibbly Wobbly Bridge. This bridge was opened at 9 o'clock in the morning by the Queen, and it was closed at 10 o'clock in the morning by the police, because it was swaying side to side. It's where it gets its nickname, the Wibbly Wobbly Bridge. Now the architect of this bridge, live on television, he said there was nothing wrong with my bridge. It was the way Londoners walk. Unbelievable. On the right hand side, one of my favourite buildings here in London, Sir Christopher Wren's masterpiece, St Paul's Cathedral. Now, many important people have had their funerals over at St Paul's, such as Winston Churchill, Margaret Thatcher, and of course himself, Sir Christopher Wren. But it's a London architect's nightmare, because it's forbidden to cast a shadow over that building. This is why you don't see any high-rise buildings around the cathedral. But the Red Brick building, just in front of St Paul's, that's the City of London School. That's where Daniel Radcliffe went to school, Harry Potter. Now it will cost money on Daddy, £60,000 a year, to send your child to the City of London. And for that kind of money, I would want my child to walk out with magical powers as well. We're now going under the Blackfriars Bridges. The first one is Blackfriars Railway Bridge. Now you may remember this bridge from a film called Mission Impossible, when Tom Cruise ran across the top. It's the longest solar panelled bridge in Europe. It gets 50% of its power from its roof for the station underneath. If you look up to the very top, you can see people waiting for their train. It's a platform bridge. It cost £500 million to construct this bridge. So we're about halfway now, folks, to Westminster. Is everybody enjoying the live commentary? Would you like me to continue? That's not a problem. Now the next bridge is Blackfriars Bridge, opened by Queen Victoria, and the architect was John Cubitt. He was also the architect for the Western Railway Services and Weymouth Pier in Dorset. Now as we go underneath this bridge, on the right hand side, you can see a construction site. Now it's not uncommon here in London to see a construction site, but this one over here, ladies and gents, is very special. In fact, it's the biggest project London has ever taken on. It's the £5 billion super sewer, or better known as the Thames Tideway project. Our current sewer system here in London can only cater for 2 million people. When this project is finished, it will cater for 10 million people. There are 25 of these sites here in London, in various different locations, but they're all building the same tunnel. The tunnel is being built right now below this boat, and it can fit 2 double-decker buses inside, and it's going out to a place called Vector. It's a very big project here in London, around 10 years. Now on the left-hand side, you can see a red brick building with a tower that says OXO. This is the famous OXO Tower, or better known as Mum's Gravy. Now it's completely forbidden to advertise on the banks of the River Thames. This is why you don't see any billboards or McDonald's signs on the banks of the river, because it's completely illegal. So OXO was taken to court. They said it was a complete coincidence how their brand ended up in their windows. They won their court case, and they've had over 70 years of free advertising out here on the River Thames. But it's now home to one of the best restaurants in London at the very top, the Harvey Nichols restaurant. And just underneath, some unaffordable luxury apartments. Staying on the left, one of the finest beaches in Europe, Costa del London, also referred to as the London Riviera. Has anybody seen Baywatch? That is not where they filmed Baywatch, folks. Normally you see kids playing with the broken glass and the dogs drinking the polluted Thames water. It's well worth a visit, just don't forget your sun cream. But on the right hand side, you can see a white warship. This is the HQS Wellington. She was an old New Zealand warship many years ago, but she's now the only floating livery hall in existence. Now if nobody knows what that means, It's basically a floating pub for retired sea captains. Now, to be a part of that prestigious club, you'd had to have served at sea as a master mariner for 20 years. On the left-hand side, the building with the electronic door, that looks like a multi-storey car park. That's our National Theatre. Now, believe it or not, that building gets voted year after year as the ugliest building in the whole of the UK. But please don't judge a book by its cover, because it has 3 of the finest auditoriums in the world inside. That's our National Theatre. Now, on the right-hand side, just above the trees, the beautiful stone building with the green dome and the Ukrainian flag. This is called Somerset House. This was once home to all of the certificates: the birth, the marriage, and the death certificates. It's where it got its nickname: the Hatcham, the Matcham, and the Dispatcham. But now the taxman's moved in, so we've added the Catch-up. It's a lovely place to visit in the month of December. They have lots of Christmas markets and a huge ice rink for the children. Well worth a visit in the month of December. We are going under Waterloo Bridge, also known as the Navy Street, because during the war, when the men were away fighting, a 90% female workforce built this bridge. It was the only bridge in London to be built on time and on budget. So well done to the ladies. However, I did hear there was a man in charge. He was probably in charge of the tea. Underneath that bridge was very dirty, but if you look at the face of the bridge, it's a lot cleaner. That's because it has a special Portland stone. It reacts with rainwater. It self-cleans in bad weather. Now, on the left-hand side, you can see the Royal Festival Hall. Now, many of the greats over the years have performed at the Royal Festival Hall, such as Pavarotti, Frank Sinatra, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, even Amy Winehouse. The list goes on. Sadly, they all have one thing in common: they're no longer with us today. So we're just waiting now for the Justin Bieber concert. Is it too late to say I'm sorry? I'm only joking. On the right hand side, you can see a stone obelisk. That's called Cleopatra's Needle. That's probably the oldest thing you will see in London today. It's 3,500 years old. It's older than London itself. It was given to this country by our Egyptian friends for Lord Nelson's bravery in the Battle of Narn. Now, they make those obelisks in pairs. Does anybody know where the other one is? It's not Paris though, it's in New York. So if you're ever in New York, do look out for the sister obelisk. We're now going under Charing Cross Bridge and the Jubilee footpaths. It's what we like to do here, folks. See if you can get a wave back from them on the bridge. There is a reason for this. So keep your hands in the air. It keeps their hands occupied. It stops them from throwing stuff at you. I had a kebab thrown at me last week. It wasn't pleasant, so we're definitely going to get on the other side. Now, if they wave back at you, it just means they're on holiday. If they didn't wave back, well, I'm very sorry. It just means they live in London. Now, on the left-hand side, just ahead of the boats, you cannot miss it. It's London's biggest attraction. It's the 5th biggest observation well in the world. It's the London Eye. Now, the London Eye was put here in London in the year 2000 by British Airways, and it was only meant to be here for a couple of years. But due to its financial success, the London Eye is now here to stay. On a clear sunny day, in the height of our peak season, that wheel makes £250,000 a day. That's £17,000 on one single rotation. Now people in London have been petitioning for its name to be changed to the Wheel of Fortune. The London Eye has 32 capsules. That's not a random number. That's one capsule for every borough of Greater London. In fact, it's numbered 1 to 33 because there is no capsule 13. British Airways don't do the number 13. They deem it as unlucky. You can also get married on the London Eye. I wouldn't recommend it. Marriage. Now I'm sure it's a lovely service. 450 foot to the very top. And on a clear sunny day, you can see up to 25 miles to the east and 25 miles to the west. So the captain's just turned the boat, folks. The reason he does this is so you can get a fantastic photo opportunity on the right hand side of the Palace of Westminster. Also referred to as the Houses of Parliament or Big Ben. But in fact, it's not called Big Ben. Big Ben is just the bell. The 13-ton bell inside the Elizabeth Tower. The bell chimes 3 times a year. That's Remembrance Sunday, the Queen's birthday, and on New Year's Eve. The building currently has more support than our government itself. It's where all the big decisions